How much are Browns to blame for rough Sanders' debut? Cleveland Browns fans arrived at the stadium expecting a normal Sunday, another step in what has already felt like a turbulent season. What they did not realize, at least not until the second half began to unfold, was that they were about to witness one of the most unexpected and scrutinized debuts in recent NFL memory. The moment Shedeur Sanders stepped onto the field, the energy in the stadium shifted. It wasn't simply a rookie entering the game. It was the entrance of one of the most polarizing and heavily discussed prospects in history, a player whose fame long preceded his professional resume, and whose every movement since the draft has generated breathless debate. Yet even as fans leaned forward and phones went up into the air, they could not have known the chaos unfolding on the Browns sideline. Quarterback Dillon Gabriel had suffered a concussion, discovered only at halftime, and had not even returned to the field. With no warning, no rhythm, and no preparation with the first-team offense, Sanders was shoved into the spotlight in the most unforgiving way imaginable. From the moment he touched the ball, Sanders seemed to know what was coming. He used one word later to describe it: rough. And rough was exactly what it became. Playing against a fierce Baltimore Ravens defense that has tormented seasoned veterans, Sanders faced a storm of pressure, collapsing pockets, confused cadences, and unfamiliar receivers. The Browns, leading 16-10 at halftime, watched helplessly as the Ravens mounted a comeback that would ultimately hand Cleveland a 23-16 defeat. Almost immediately, Sanders became the story. Not the defensive breakdowns, not the offensive line issues, not even the sudden quarterback injury. Social media lit up with critics labeling his performance the worst debut ever, a phrase that spread far faster than any nuanced analysis of what had actually happened. But in the cold light of day, one important question lingered. Was it truly that disastrous? Or had the Browns unintentionally thrown their rookie into a no-win situation? To understand the gravity of the moment, it is necessary to understand who Shedeur Sanders is before the NFL ever entered the picture. His path to the league has been anything but typical. His father, Deion Sanders, is not merely a two-time Super Bowl champion. He is one of the most iconic athletes of the last half-century, a transcendent figure whose charisma and presence still echo across football and even pop culture. Growing up under that kind of spotlight meant that Shedeur never had a quiet moment. He was both protected and amplified, developing a fan base long before his play alone could justify it. At Colorado and previously at Jackson State, his name, image, and likeness value grew into the millions. He became one of the most lucrative athletes in college sports history, with a signature watch celebration that turned into a cultural phenomenon. NFL, NBA, and WNBA players copied it. Memes were built from it. His aura became larger than his resume. At first, NFL scouts were intrigued. Some even considered him a candidate to be the first overall pick. But once evaluators dug deeper, concerns began to emerge. His footwork, decision-making under pressure, and tendencies to hold the ball too long all became talking points. Teams also questioned elements of his approach and attitude. One anonymous coach delivered the harshest critique, calling his formal interview the worst I've ever been in. What began as a steady evaluation soon snowballed into one of the most dramatic draft slides ever recorded. By the time the fifth round arrived, Shedeur Sanders, the same player once considered a top 5 pick, was still waiting. Cleveland, sensing opportunity and willing to take the risk, traded up to take him with the 144th pick. Instantly, a new media firestorm began. A player with celebrity status but unproven NFL credentials landed in a city known for its impatience with quarterbacks. The Browns already had Dillon Gabriel, a rookie they believed could develop quickly. They had also signed multiple quarterbacks in the offseason, meaning Sanders arrived near the bottom of the depth chart. At first, that seemed like a blessing, a chance to learn quietly, absorb film, and work through mechanics without pressure. But in football, quiet doesn't stay quiet for long. Sanders flashed in the preseason, showing a confidence that resonated with segments of the fan base. Still, he remained a developmental player, the fourth quarterback on the roster. When veteran Joe Flacco was traded in early October, Sanders moved up to the number 3 spot. When Gabriel became the starter, Sanders became the backup almost overnight. And then came Sunday, the moment that wasn't supposed to arrive for months. His debut, statistically, was undeniably difficult. He completed his first 2 passes, giving a brief glimpse of rhythm. Then the avalanche began. He finished completing 4 of 16 passes for just 47 yards. He was sacked twice. He threw an interception. His passer rating of 13.5 was the lowest for any quarterback debut since Brandon Weeden, another Browns first-round pick whose name still sparks frustration among fans. And yet, within those difficult numbers, there were glimmers of competitiveness. Sanders scrambled for a gritty first down. He engineered a late possession that put Cleveland in position to tie or even win the game. But with no timing, no chemistry, and almost no understanding of the cadence used by the starting offensive line, a cadence the linemen themselves admitted they had to learn at halftime, the drive sputtered out. The question that immediately followed was not simply why Sanders struggled. It was whether the Browns had failed him. In the modern NFL, rookie quarterbacks are expected to get work with the first team during camp. Even if they sit, the philosophy is exposure over sheltering. But Cleveland's situation was unusual. 2 rookie quarterbacks were on the roster. Gabriel got every starter rep once he won the job, leaving none for Sanders. The coaching staff insisted this was necessary for development and fairness. They built sessions specifically for Sanders with other young players, giving him long stretches of reps but never with the players who actually take the field on Sundays. The Browns believed this was a long-term investment, but football rarely cares about long-term plans when chaos strikes. The moment Gabriel's injury forced Sanders onto the field, the experiment was exposed. A quarterback without first-team reps was now leading men he had never practiced with against a top-5 defense. Analysts quickly pointed out that Sanders looked like exactly what he was, a rookie unfamiliar with the system around him. The Ravens' defense disguised pressures, shifted coverages, and forced him into hurried throws. The offensive line, which has struggled all season, did him no favors. Receivers struggled to adjust to the timing of a quarterback they had barely worked with. That so many people immediately judged him based solely on the stat line overlooked everything context should have provided. As one analyst put it bluntly, you can't expect chemistry in 10 minutes. The emotional toll didn't end when the game was over. Sanders learned that his home had been burglarized while he was on the field, with an estimated $200,000 worth of property stolen. It was a gut punch on top of an already draining day. Yet as the week progressed, something shifted. For the first time, Sanders got a full slate of practice reps with the starters. Coaches noted his approach, his willingness to ask questions, and his eagerness to sync his timing with receivers. His teammates, too, felt the difference. Wideouts reported improved chemistry. Linemen grew more confident in his cadence. Coaches saw a calmer, more prepared version of the rookie. The Browns head into Sunday's matchup with the 2-8 Las Vegas Raiders, knowing that Sanders will make his first official start, not as a mid-game emergency, but as the quarterback who is prepared all week with the men he will line up beside. His critics remain vocal, and his supporters are equally loud. The polarization that has followed him since college is likely to shadow him throughout his career. Yet beneath all the noise is a fundamental truth. Sanders is a 23-year-old athlete experiencing the most difficult transition in professional sports, and doing so under expectations rarely placed on a 5th-round pick. Cleveland's defense remains one of the league's best, giving him a chance to stay competitive even if the offense stumbles. And more importantly, this week represents something he did not have before: a fair shot. A chance to show what he looks like when given the full structure, rhythm, and preparation that every quarterback needs. His debut may have been rough, chaotic, and unfairly judged, but the NFL is full of players whose first game told a misleading story. Whether Shedeur Sanders rewrites that narrative begins not with the critics, not with the social media noise, but with the opportunity he now has. A full week of preparation, a clean slate, and a fresh chance to prove he belongs.